What's going on, everybody? I'm Will Ortner. This is the Oregon Football Report, and we got a gift. We got an absolute gift hiding under the Christmas tree. And look, I might not have realized it right away because I was so enamored with some other gifts that were being thrown our way. But don't you worry, I made sure to come back and check out that final gift under the Christmas tree. We already talked about earlier this week about the 3 injured Duck wide receivers that were coming back to practice. We talked about DeCorian Moore. We talked about Gary Bryant Jr. We talked about Evan Stewart. All 3 of them with the possibility to come out and play in this football game against JMU on Saturday. But you know who I forgot to talk about? You know who I missed and didn't see right away? Trey McNutt was out at practice, and he was flying around, making plays. Could we see the 5-star safety on Saturday? We'll get into that in today's video, but before we do, make sure that you come in and like the video if you like it when the Oregon Ducks football team gets good news. We all knew that this team was kind of the dark horse, the sleeping giant. If they could get healthy, they were going to be a tough team to beat. Oh boy, does it look like our Oregon Ducks got healthy. Make sure you like the video. All right, a closer look on Trey McNutt, an absolute stud out of Cleveland, Ohio. 5-star recruit. He was the number 2 safety in his class. And if you've seen pictures of this kid before, he is an absolute animal. There's no fat on him. He is strong. He is fast when you turn on the tape. Fluid hips, able to move with different tight ends and wide receivers that he has to cover in the coverage game. Not afraid to go in and bang in the box if he needs to. He was a player that we thought going into the year was going to be one of the freshmen that we saw on the football field. Maybe not necessarily as a starter, but everyone kind of assumed that McNutt was going to go out there and get some significant playing time in this rotation. Unfortunately, during fall camp where he was turning some heads, getting some eyeballs on him, he did end up suffering a broken leg. And it was a little bit demoralizing. I wouldn't say that it completely threw off what this defense was going to be. Everyone knows how deep this defense is going to be. But whenever you lose a good player like McNutt, it can be a bit frustrating. And Dan Lanning had this to say on if there was a possibility earlier on back in fall camp if we'd see him around this time during the college football playoff. You never want to see a player get injured. Trey broke his leg and had surgery. He's going to be able to recover from that. It's something we think he'll be able to come back from this season sooner rather than later. But I don't want to put a timer on that, but Trey's handling that unbelievably. Kind of a freak deal. That being said, he's working his ass off to get back. How freaking special is that? The kid, he gets thrown a curveball. It would be easy for a 5-star recruit to have something not go their way for the first time in their life and just kind of pack it in and say, hey, you know what? Unfortunately, it isn't for me. I'm not going to be able to go this year. I'll just be ready for next year. That would be the easy thing to do. That's not what Trey McNutt did. What'd he do? He got in the film room, got ready so that he could go out on the field, and most importantly, he got his body back in physical condition to give himself an opportunity to play in the college football playoff this year. Now, I want you to predict it. Will Trey McNutt play in the college football playoff this year? Type Y for yes, type N for no. I'll tell you right now, I might be a bit bullish. I might be a bit excited. I think we're going to see McNutt play on the field for the Oregon Ducks in this college football playoff. He's the type of athlete and the type of player that I think you have to make sure is on the field. Now, there is going to be a question with all that time off. Will he be able to be game ready? Remember, he was there early on, so he was there for all the winter conditioning. He was there during fall camp up until he broke his leg. So he was there in spring ball. So McNutt's been around what it's like to practice for a Power 4 team, for a top 5 team in the country. But would he be able to shake the rust off after multiple months off and be able to play at the level that the Oregon Ducks need him to perform at? Well, Coach Lanning had this to say on McNutt's preparation. He's staying engaged in the playbook. He's preparing himself. So he's having a really good fall camp. You always hate to see that happen, but it is a part of football. I think Trey's handled it really well. What does that tell me? That tells me the Ducks got a 5-star safety with the athleticism and the ability to do special things on the field, but the chip on his shoulder like a 2 or a 3-star kid. Why? Because he's out there in the film room. He's figuring out what they're doing defensively, schematically, so he knows what his job is. He's going out with the trainers every single day and rehabbing his leg to put himself in the best possible position to be able to go out and play for the Oregon football team against JMU, or later on against Texas Tech, or later on in this college football playoff. He is not going to be satisfied with not being able to give himself the best chance to play. Does that mean he will play? Not necessarily. But I'll tell you right now, McNutt would be a big, big addition to this secondary. Why? Because he's the type of player that you can plug in and he'll just ball. He's only going to get better as he gets more playing time, and he'd be the perfect addition to some of these special teams units if he's just kind of a rotation type of player. He is a special freshman that was supposed to play with these other true freshmen that saw the field for the Oregon Ducks. So we know that Dan Lanning and the rest of this Oregon staff, they're not afraid to play freshmen. Davison and Hill have been great in that run game. You know that Finney Jr. and Offord, they've been great in that secondary. You can add in another freshman in McNutt to that secondary because he plays that safety position and really see it start to flourish. It's an added piece. It's a depth piece that you're going to need because if you're going to win this national championship like we all want, the Oregon Ducks are going to have to win 4 games. We saw injuries play a role last year. You need a strong depth, and this Oregon Ducks football team is having it. And I don't want to leave out Nasir Wyatt, absolute stud, who's only going to continue to improve. I think that McNutt can be added into this crew, and he's going to absolutely ball out for the Oregon football team, especially if we see him in this game. I think the JMU game is a perfect opportunity for the Ducks to get his feet wet, so to speak. Let him run around, let him get in once the Ducks get up big, and let Trey McNutt get back on the football field and feel comfortable back on the football field, especially if you need him later on in this college football playoff. I might be a little bit bullish on Trey McNutt. I've seen the highlight tape. I know what people were talking about, where he was going to be for this football team if he never breaks his leg. I'm kind of convinced that we might be talking about him like he's an Oregon football legend. Maybe he joins the ranks of some of the other greats over at Oregon. Maybe he joins the greats of some other defensive backs like my good friend Anthony Newman. Shout out to Anthony. Type A if you agree with me that he'll be an Oregon legend. Type D if you disagree. And while we were filming the video, great job behind the scenes by Searle, we got our out and questionable report from the Oregon Ducks. Our injury report, that's the word I was looking for this game against JMU. And you're going to notice who's there at the very bottom for questionable. Trey McNutt. We are going to have an opportunity to see him on the field on Saturday, and I think that we will see him on the field Saturday. Do I expect him to have the game of all games? No, absolutely I do not. But I expect to see him out on the field, having fun, enjoying playing football again. Because you know when you have a kid that's willing to put himself through the rehab and the preparation to be ready to go after having such an enormous setback instead of just wallowing in self-pity, you know that's the type of kid that's going to have the most fun on the football field. The Ducks might have just got their secret X factor, their demon back over there in that defensive back room in that safety position. And man, oh man, am I excited to see him out on the field on Saturdays. If you love the Ducks, help us out. Come and like the video. It shows YouTube that we are a great Ducks channel and it will help bring in more Ducks fans. And while you're here, if you haven't already, you might as well subscribe to the channel. We got daily Oregon football content coming out for you. We got rumors, we've got news, injury updates, whatever you can think of, we've got here on the channel. It's all kinds of stuff that you don't want to miss out on. So make sure you hit that subscribe button. Thank you guys so much for hanging out, and I'll catch you guys next time.